Słuchasz podcastu Agni Ayurveda zrozumiale i dostępnie, odcinek 46. W tym odcinku zapraszam Cię do posłuchania rozmowy z Shane Moore. Shane pochodzi z Kanady i specjalizuje się w terapii powięziowej ciała. Jest to rozmowa i odcinek w języku angielskim. Rozmawiamy o tym, jak droga do sukcesu na kolejnym poziomie często prowadzi tylko i wyłącznie poprzez pracę z ciałem. Witam Cię w podcaście Agni Ayurveda zrozumiale i dostępnie. Nazywam się Maria Nowak-Szabat. Wspólnie z mężem Michałem od 7 lat prowadzę Agni Ayurveda. Pomagam kobietom skorzystać z Ayurvedy w życiu osobistym i zawodowym. W każdym odcinku otworzysz serce i umysł na tą piękną, starożytną wiedzę o życiu. Posłuchasz o niej w zrozumiały sposób. Poznasz inspirujące kobiety, które przeszły swoją przemianę z Ayurvedą. W tym podcaście będę także dzielić się moimi odkryciami i obserwacjami. Dzięki temu poczujesz się wzmocniona i gotowa do wcielania w życie zmian, których pragnie Twoja dusza. Ayurveda jest prosta, ale jej zrozumienie i zastosowanie w codziennym życiu wymaga wsparcia. Od zawsze była przekazywana w relacji nauczyciel-uczeń w formie otwierających serce i umysł opowieści. Bardzo się cieszę, że mogę się z Tobą podzielić moją pasją i doświadczeniem z 7 lat pracy w tym obszarze. Cieszę się, że spędzisz ten czas ze mną i starą, mądrą Ayurvedą. Hello, so good to have you. You are the first English-speaking guest on my podcast.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm very happy to be here and share all my knowledge and experience with you and your audience.
Mm-hmm. Could you please introduce yourself to those who are not familiar with you yet, who you are and what you do for a living?
Well, my name is Shane Moore, and I run a company called Elite Performance. And I basically, I'm a body worker. I started off as a massage therapist, but now I specialize in a type of body work called myofascial release, which is becoming more and more popular around the world, in North America especially, but it's definitely made its way into Europe and Australia. And it really just helps the body heal on a much deeper level than any other bodywork modality I've ever tried. So that's why I really decided to specialize in it, because it is that good. It is that effective.
Yeah, sounds amazing.
It is. It really is. Because I get it done as much as, well, maybe not as much as I do it, but I get treated as often as I can too. So, because it's important.
Oh, this is brilliant. So often I meet, people who are treating others and not taking care of themselves.
I meet a lot of those people too. And I don't understand how, as a therapist, especially a therapist doing a physical modality like massage or something like that, how they don't get treated themselves, because that type of work is very taxing on the body if you're not doing it, in a very easy and gentle way. And the type of myofascial release that I do, the application of it is very easy and gentle on my body as a therapist. So I don't necessarily need treatment because of the work that I do, but I need it just because I'm a human being and we all need the work. So it's great. And yes, I encourage therapists to get treated as often as possible, because it is important.
Yes. Oh, so much, I think it's quite natural that we are going for a haircut and we are checking the haircut of the hairdresser, yeah? Like we are judging her as a professionalist based on how she looks. But somehow it doesn't apply to therapists, yeah? And often they will repeat themselves that, how it works. You do it for others, but you don't have time to do it for yourself. But I believe that it should be the opposite, yeah? Especially in this profession.
Absolutely. And I mean, it's interesting though, because I've had somebody else say to me, and it was early on in my career, and it wasn't about my work necessarily, but this, a friend of mine had been seeing a massage therapist, and she said, her therapist was going through a divorce at that point. And she's like, I could totally feel the difference in the treatments versus, her therapist in a stable relationship versus her therapist going through, some emotional chaos and some upheaval in her life. And I mean, I don't know if she was taking care of herself or doing some self-care or seeing somebody herself. I don't know, but her client was able to pick that up in the treatment. So yes, that whether or not you as a therapist recognize that your client is picking it up or that you are transmitting that sort of energy during your treatment, but it does happen and people will notice. Not everybody will notice, but some people will really notice. So, and I mean, the type of work that I do is so much, it's very intuitive, and it tends to draw people who are very intuitive and very in touch with themselves, I would say, or really wanting to be more in touch with themselves. So they will notice when something is off. And, if I'm not clear and having kind of a bad day and letting that affect what I'm doing, if I'm having a bad day, I need to shift that before I even go into the treatment room. And, unfortunately that doesn't happen very often. So I don't have to do that extra work before a session. My life's pretty easy and relaxed these days. So, I mean, it doesn't affect my treatments, fortunately, but it absolutely can. And I do believe that it is important for therapists as much as anybody else to be treated on a regular basis, because you can only help others as much as you've helped yourself too. So the more you experience as a therapist and the more you heal, the more you can support others in that process too.
Yeah, which bring us to the juicy part of our today conversation. And the juicy part for me is to follow the intuition that the progress in terms of professional life should come through body. I mean, I felt it very often in my life, and I know that your clients also had this experience, that they developed the mindset, doing the trainings, conferences, and so on. But somehow this progress that they want, it doesn't really happen, or it's kind of slow, it's bumpy, and it's somehow limited. And then comes this understanding, this insight that maybe the body is the part to heal and to sort of expand for success.
Absolutely. I mean, and it is, you're right. It's very often kind of the last thing that people look at when they are trying to do any kind of self-development, self-improvement. I mean, it's the physical body is usually the last thing that people are paying attention to that will have an effect on any major life goals or business goals or whatever that you have planned or would like to accomplish. Because I mean, your body is the slowest moving of our energy field, right? It's the slowest moving layer of our energy field, because it's not solid, because nothing is solid, right? It's moving particles. It's constantly moving, but it's the slowest moving because you can see it, and so it's a conductor of energy, right? I mean, our physical body is a conductor of energy, and the fluid in our body, in our fascial system specifically, conducts energy. And when the fascial system is blocked from inflammation, it tends to solidify. So your soft tissue will feel hard, right? And so when that happens, your energy is not moving into those areas. And that's why people feel disconnected from certain parts of their body, whether they've had injuries directly to it or whether it's just an accumulation of stress over time. And your body just tightens up and tenses up, and the fluid becomes a solid, essentially. And so what myofascial release will do is turn that solid back into a fluid again, allowing the fascial web to expand, and it creates space in the body, and it allows the energy to start moving to the various body parts that it was previously blocked from. So that's essentially what I'm doing in a session, is finding those places in somebody's body and releasing them, helping them to release them and soften and restore the natural function to those areas.
Mm-hmm. What are your experiences with people who are kind of high achievers, and want to develop themselves, their businesses, their professional life, and they somehow arriving to your place for your treatment. So how you perceive this change that they are coming through with you?
Well, the high achievers I find are very often very self-aware. And that's what I've been seeing mostly in my clients. The people that are coming for intensive work, and when I say intensive, I'm talking about like 30 hours in 10 days intensive. Like that's a lot of body work to do, but it is so necessary in order to, create big change in a short period of time, and change that won't, actually go back to the way it was. So they are already fairly self-aware, and they're really ready for something to shift. And it doesn't, you don't need to know what you want to shift. Like you can set the intention and you can come in, and then you have to let go of the outcome and whatever's going to happen, how it's going to look, because it's just going to happen the way it happens and the way it needs to happen. Your body will take over and do what it needs to do if you let it, right? You have to shut your brain off and get out of the way so that your body can take over and heal itself, because it's designed to do it and it will do it. We've just learned not to let it, right? We've learned to let other people take the power over that healing process and make those decisions and that sort of thing. So this work is about taking that power back and understanding that we are in the driver's seat when it comes to that sort of thing. And we can control in some ways whether or not healing does happen. So yes, those high achievers, that have been blocked, and that's who I tend to get is people that want to reach that next level, and they know that there's something missing. They've done all the mindset work, they've done everything else in their business life is on point, and there's just something in the way, and it's usually something physical. And so they'll be having chronic pain, or they'll be having a chronic illness, could be minor illness, but it's something that just keeps slowing them down or stopping them completely. And once they start to connect to that and release it from their physical body, because that's kind of the last layer for it to release from in your energy field, then things just start to shift. And I've had people who do energy work. I treat therapists as well a lot, and so when they start to do their modality while I'm doing, especially the mindset work, while I'm doing the MFR, like I can feel the change in their body happening instantly as soon as they start shifting their mind around whatever block we found in their physical body. It is just going, and they are just expanding like crazy and opening up so much that I was one client in particular. I remember she does Akashic Records readings, and so she's downloading a lot of information, and she said she couldn't believe how fast things were happening and how clear the downloads were coming after we'd done, even I think 12 hours of work. She was noticing a significant difference. So yeah, it's pretty major, as far as the benefits on your business and your life in general, having this body work done. But yes, it's very important, and it's usually the last thing people come. They've done everything else, and now they're coming to me because they don't know what else to do, right? And this is the missing link most of the time that people are not focused on and not paying attention to and not addressing in order to up level.
Yeah. Recently, I was talking with my client about how she can support herself, and the topic of going on for a massage on a regular basis came as a sort of VIP experience, and the whole beliefs connected with this. Can I really dedicate time during the week to do it? Is it worth to be paid for? And things like this. But from what you are sharing, and for me, it's very clear that actually this is one of the basic investments in your body, which is the vehicle. It's like a carrying box for all the other skills and competences and all the other things that we have inside of us. But basically, the container is the body.
Yes, it's the vehicle, right? This is the vehicle for everything else that's happening in our lives and how we go through the world, right? And how we experience the world. And when the vehicle is not, it's not taking in the information, it's not able to process the information because it's injured, it's sick, it's starting to solidify, it's got inflammation, whether that's from stress or food or lack of sleep or injuries or whatever, mindset stuff that people need to release those blocks in their mindset, because that's the programming is where it starts, right? The mental programming that is mostly subconscious that we aren't even aware about as we grow up, as from birth to adulthood. That needs to be, it all needs to be addressed, right? I mean, there's not just one modality that's going to fix all these problems. We need to see different practitioners. We need to avail ourselves of all the different types of modalities that are out there to address different aspects of our energy body and our life. And so, yeah, it's but the physical, like this is our house, right? I mean, most people take better care of their car or their home, than they do their body. And so it's like, but this is your only house for your whole life. Like this is what you're living in your whole life. So yeah, to me, it just makes sense that you would want to take better care of it and want to invest, whatever money it's going to take. I mean, I come from a country that has socialized healthcare, right? I mean, people don't pay for healthcare very much in Canada. And so to pay out of pocket for any kind of physical body treatments and any kind of medical care is very uncommon. So people are very reluctant to want to spend much money on themselves. And what I do in the way that I do it is not covered by extended healthcare. And if it is, there's not very much, right? Like the subsidy is not very big. So yeah, it's an investment in yourself essentially, and in your health, and it's in your well-being. And it's basically helping you prevent any illness or disease and any movement problems, and allowing you to stay healthy and be able to move really well until you're into your senior years, right? I mean, your body does not have to deteriorate the way we have been told it does, right? And the way we've been told to expect it to. So we have the power to change all of that and reverse all of that, but it starts in the mindset first, and then it filters down to the physical layers. So
I feel also it requires this shift, in taking responsibility and choosing the beliefs that you want to follow, because this
absolutely
body, connected topics in our culture have this, like, they are very, how to say it, they are so strange, there is a lot of, there is a big emphasis on the body, that you should look, I don't know, fit, young and so on, and a lot of programming about your skin, your hair, your hips, your thighs, whatever. But at the same time, really less messages, less education about how to really take care of your body. I mean, not putting some creams on your face or things like this, but how to really tune with your body, with nature, and as you said, maintain the quality of the body so it can last longer than we are told it will last.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're right. I mean, there is far too much focus on the aesthetic appearance of the body, and I mean, I feel like the health and fitness industry has done people a huge disservice. And I mean, it's understandable though, because, the mainstream understanding of the body it's wrong. Essentially, it's incorrect. Western medicine does not understand the fascial system, first of all, and how it affects everything that's happening in the body, because it does. It literally is the environment of every cell in the body. So it's responsible for any communication between any of the cells. And of course, the organs and all the organ systems as a whole are affected by that too, because they are, the larger extension of the smaller cells. Yes. So it's, so when you're coming at it from a medical standpoint and they don't understand the actual basis of how the body's functioning, they're not able to really give you a very effective treatment. I mean, they're great for catastrophic injuries and that sort of thing. Like there's definitely some major life-saving capabilities that we have developed through medicine and that sort of thing. But I think they need to work hand in hand more with the, they call it alternative medicine, but it's original medicine, right? It's traditional medicine, and it's needs to be a bigger part of, the worldview and more accepted by people. And I think there's definitely trends towards that now. I feel like we're seeing more of a swing back to the original medicine and traditional healing and shamanic healing, and and listening more to people who, elders and who have maintained their connection to nature and nature's rhythms and how that affects our body and how our lives are kind of out of sync with that, right? And just living in cities and being exposed to technology and all that sort of thing. Yes, it has its benefits, but it does have its effect on our health and on our physical body and our mindset. So it's, we just need to learn how to navigate through that a little bit better so that our physical bodies aren't as affected by it, because they don't need to be. There's ways to heal it and still have that in our lives. Maybe it just needs a bit more balance is all, right?
Yes, sure. Yeah, I experienced this, when I moved from big city to smaller city, and then finally to this tiny little place on the very edge of Poland that I experienced it just because I live here, thanks to the fact how less noise, light and is here, and how much space, sun, the crystal clear air and the nature is really it gives me so much of this prana, the vital energy that we are talking about in Ayurveda. It just makes me more alive just because I'm here, without actually doing anything else.
You don't need to do anything else. You just need to be immersed in it, right? Like just surrounded by the natural world and not the unnatural world, which is where people who do live in, especially big cities, like I don't live in a city now. I'm kind of a nomad these days, so I've been traveling the world for the last couple of years. But I grew up in a small town. I moved to a slightly larger city, about 100,000 people, but it was still in the middle of northwestern Ontario. It's in the middle of nowhere, basically, and so surrounded by wilderness and on Lake Superior. So it's basically beside a sea, really. The lake is that big, so it has that kind of effect on the weather and everything else, the environment. So that was a pretty amazing place to grow up. I did spend a lot of time, not a lot, but I spent some time in places like Toronto, so a major urban center, and this actually, even last year, at the start of the pandemic, I was in London, and I chose to stay in London. And it was London itself doesn't excite me to live there. Like I did just would not want to live with that many people and traffic and trains and just noise and whatever. Like it does not excite me at all. But it was interesting to be there during the pandemic and going for walks when, people were basically locked down and the city felt like it was empty and there was no traffic and absolutely no people on the street or in, I was in central London. So Trafalgar Square and Hyde Park, there's literally nobody there. And it was just so surreal. And you can see, the sky was starting to clear, and generally a friend of mine that stayed with me, she's like, this is crazy because the sky over London is never, like, you can't see blue sky because it's just never that clear. She's like, it was unbelievable. But yeah, so getting away to nature on the weekends is not enough. It's about really making an effort or relocating yourself and immersing yourself in nature, because it does help balance out our body, because living in an urban center is too chaotic. There's too much energies, too many different individual energies in that space too, which is also going to have an effect, especially if you are tuned into that and, very sensitive to it, which a lot of people are, and they don't really recognize that. They often don't understand that either, right? If you go to the doctor with that kind of symptoms and explanation, you get a label of mental health illness or mental illness or mental health problems, and that's a whole different stigma. And really, most of those people are probably just empaths and don't know how to deal with it, right? And nobody talked to them about what it is or how to navigate it. So and connecting, like just returning to nature is so important, and and just being in a different environment, a different ecosystem, just different, microbiome, really, to help your immune system and help your body balance itself out and start to heal. Because when you are too much on one direction, it doesn't get that, doesn't get that opportunity to do that.
Yeah. When talking about this, I often get those sentences like, it's easy to say to you because you are already there. Yeah. You choose to relocate, you move to the wilderness or whatever. But actually, I just want to say that it's a matter of choice and belief which support this choice. Yeah. I used to live in a big city, one of the biggest in Poland, and then I moved to another one, just a little bit smaller than the first one, basically huge cities. And then at one point in my life, I chose that it doesn't really serve me because of the nature, but also because of the energetic, overwhelm, which was too much for me, and then I prepared myself to rearrange all the life that we had in this big city and move to the different part. But even staying in the city, because I guess this is interesting for people who are still there, and they don't plan to move, and maybe they still believe it's not possible. But anyhow, within your house, within your apartment, even living in a big city, you can decide how do you live. Yeah,
of course. Absolutely.
What you will put in your internal environment, how much you are connected with your body or with your device. Yeah, how often, how long, and etc. So now thinking, knowing that a lot of people is working from home, like they are, this home office. Holy Grail is not so holy. It comes with a huge bucket of disadvantages. And imagine that you were put on the TEDx stage and you are there to preach something about how to take care of your body in this time when you are working intensively from your home. What would you say? What would be your message to kind of bring this topic into, into awareness?
Yeah. Well, I think the number one thing, and especially I know it is for me, it's true for me, is that we all need time by ourselves. And with this pandemic, I mean, a lot of people are really seeing the fact that they can't get that time to themselves because they are stuck, for lack of a better word, with their entire family, or the people who are already living single are pretty much by themselves all the time now. So, but I think it's very, very important to be able to reconnect to yourself, to have time alone and disconnect from screens and technology and that sort of, constant interaction that we feel like we need, that we've learned to really just has become part of our day and our regular routine, is just to step away from that and really kind of just scan your body with your mind and see how you feel, right? Like just notice how your body feels and whether you can even get a sense of how your feet feel or how your head feels or your neck or any particular part of your body, and just, and just breathe and just take some deep breaths and just really start to feel how your body moves or doesn't move, and really just, and question it why, and just ask yourselves, just ask yourself, well, what if I did this? And what if I try, and just doing small movements just to gauge, different range of motion of shoulders and knees and hips and, and just start to regain those movements that we tend to lose from, just a sedentary lifestyle. And I mean, even if you do exercise, oftentimes you're doing the same kind of exercise, whether it's just walking that you like to do or people that just run or, it's like you need to do different things. Your body needs to move in different ways. And it doesn't always have to be fast and intense. It can be slow and, and with intention. So it's really about reconnecting to your physical self and asking your body what it needs, and it will tell you, it will tell you. You just have to pay attention to it. And, and it responds almost immediately. Things will change in your body almost immediately as soon as you start giving it what it wants and what it needs. So I think that would be my best advice. And really what I do tell my clients and anybody that's, I work with, and then it's the basic premise of any of my online programs and that sort of thing, is just number one needs to be number one again. Like we need to make ourselves a priority and treat ourselves like we are a priority, because that for most, and women especially, and mothers even more so, is that, yes, kids are important, but if mom is not functioning, then kids are going to feel it too.
Yes.
And they're going to be in chaos, and then everything's in chaos. So mom and dad, obviously, but mom needs to be, taking care of herself and not putting everybody else first. And she gets the very last of it. So
yeah. I totally understand this, and I'm kind of proud of the solutions that we have, that we installed in our home. So just recently, I was, going for a hot bath, because I'm just huge fan of this kind of things, just soak myself in even in a small tube, but just to have this time. And my daughter came into the bathroom and she said, like, "What are you doing, mommy?" And I said something like, "I'm just taking my time off." And she smiled. And this time doesn't always like this, but this time she said, "Enjoy," and she closed the door.
Nice.
She's 6 years old, and I feel like it's really it's kind of setting the good example that you can do it, and you can leave all the house outside of this special,
that you
spa
need
zone.
to do it. Not just that you can do it, but that it's important to do it, and she will get, as she gets older, she will make that a priority for herself too, and know that it's important. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Especially even if, as kids, they don't even have to be adults then, but showing kids that, yes, taking a time out for yourself, you deciding, like as a kid deciding, I need a time out and just get away from everybody or whatever's going on, is great. I mean, that's just a meditation time for them, right? They don't have to sit on a pillow with their legs crossed staring at a candle or a card or whatever. They just need to be in a space that's quiet and process in a way that kids process. So making that normal for them and showing them that you as a parent are doing it is super important, I would say. Very, very important.
Yeah, it's beautiful because, often it comes like this, that she will join me in the tube, like, let's have some fun. But I really like the fact that more and more she recognized that sometimes it's okay to join me, or it's okay to join me after the first 20 minutes when I'm in very hot water by myself. And the understanding that it's important, like without, pain, disease, or discomfort, is more like a prevention. It's more like a relaxing time, just for the relaxation's sake, not to heal or not to, you know what I mean? Because often we are coming when we have problem, like you said at the very beginning, the clients are coming because they experience some limitations. And I wonder how it works if you are coming and you don't experience limitations, you just want to grow,
absolutely. Well, and that is really how MFR does work. Myofascial release is so effective for that too, because my teacher says all the time, we have no idea how amazing we can actually feel, right? As human beings, we have no clue because we don't let ourselves feel that way. And we do tend to wait until something's wrong or something's broken or not working or hurting or till we're sick to start taking care of ourselves. But myofascial release is huge for preventive stuff, and it's a maintenance thing. It's, it's this work is, and that's why I teach the self-care stuff is because we need to be doing this on a regular basis for ourselves, and that will prevent us from needing to have intensives, and undo a bunch of things that we've let accumulate over the years of our life as we get older and don't deal with stuff. It just kind of builds up and builds up and builds up. But I mean, it's all reversible. I'm not saying you can't change any of it. Really, the body is highly, highly adaptable. It's designed to be, but you have to do it, right? And yes, it's possible to prevent any of those. I mean, stuff's going to happen. That's life, right? But the more you take care of yourself, the more prepared your body is to respond. It will heal faster from injury. It will, it will process, any kind of illness faster and more effectively. I never get colds. I never get, I never get sick. I've been through cancer. I'm a cancer survivor. I went through chemo, and, but that was before I was doing this work. And now and I know I'm not going to have to face it again because I know how it happened and I know how to deal with it. But, if I knew then what I know now, would I have gone through chemo? Probably not. But I don't, it happened the way it needed to. But, but I know that I can keep cancer from manifesting in my body again. I know that is possible. And so, yes, preventing any kind of thing is super important. I mean, it's possible, right? It's totally possible. And I don't know why we're not doing it more. More people, we just, as a people in general, we just tend to, because we're ignoring ourselves and we wait until something goes wrong before we start to address it. So prevention is key.
Nowadays, really. I understand more and more that it's really like designed this way, that the kind of agenda underneath the whole information and knowledge distribution, so to say, is basically like this. You should be disconnected from your body. You should be dependent and in a sense in pain, hopeless and
well, I mean,
useless.
Unfortunately, yes, at this point in our lives and in the world in general, I mean, there are a lot more people are benefiting from us not being well, right? Like there's a lot of industries that are surrounding, that surround illness and disease and all that sort of thing. And and yes, it's people's jobs to do that. And I'm not saying we're going to completely eradicate, illness and disease and all of that. But people who are interested and who do want to make those changes need to know that there are alternatives and there are other ways to live. And yes, you can heal even stage 4 cancer. Like you can heal major, major illnesses and diseases through alternative methods, without medication, without surgery, without any kind of medical intervention. I believe that's possible.
Yes,
but that's not, if you start talking about that in certain circles, then people aren't going to believe you. But that's their path, right?
Yeah,
we all have our own path. So yes, not everybody is meant. Everybody, I think it's possible for everybody to avail themselves of this and heal themselves, but not everybody's going to. And that's just the reality that we're living in right now, I think. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think that, on the other side of this podcast is someone who is taking responsibility for his or her health, because this is one of my entry conditions. If you want to if you want to play a victim and just blame, I don't know what and who for your state, we will not come together, in a good harmony.
I can't help somebody that's in that space, right? And because they're coming to me, looking to me to fix them.
Exactly.
And that's not my job. I don't even claim to be able to do that, that is not my function. to fix somebody. I can't, you can fix yourself and I can help you, right? I can show you the techniques. I can guide you through, I can do treatment and point out different things. But at the end of the day, the person on the table, the client is making that choice and being responsible for their health and deciding whether or not they're going to let go of anything that's going on in their bodies. So I can't force them to do that, no matter how hard I, push on their body or dig my elbow into something. If you're not ready to let go of it, it's not going anywhere, and we're just having a fight, right? And you're just getting more injured, and I'm getting more injured, and it's not helping anybody. So, this work is, I'm not saying you won't feel pain with it, because we're carrying a lot of pain around in our bodies, but it won't be pain because of what I'm doing to you, because of the application of the treatment. It will be pain because it's just the pain that you've been holding and haven't been willing to let go of till whatever point you're ready to let go of it. And so, you do need to feel it. That's, to some degree, but it's a super gentle and very, effective way to release. Just so effective. And it feels amazing when you just let it, right? Like you're in a whole other place. Sometimes it's pretty cool.
It's a different reality, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely. It's like being on drugs without the drugs, really.
Yeah.
So, I've had certain sessions myself where it's just like, am I high? Like, you just get off the table and you feel like you're high on what, and I have never really used drugs, so I don't really, can't make the comparison to those experiences, but it's what other people who I know have used drugs describe the high, right? How that feels. It's just like, but I can get that from body work. So why do I need substances for that? I don't.
Yeah.
We have enough of those substances in our body that can get us that amazing feeling, and people won't let themselves access it. It's crazy. But
Yes, so true. By the way, it's a very interesting topic. I remember when I was on a yoga teacher course and we were, sitting together around the table, like, 7, 8 future yoga teachers. And we were just exchanging our experiences with drugs, like drugs meaning like with beers, wines, joints, or some other things that some of us tried, but basically the whole story was that through these experiences we kind of realized that something else is possible. And then we met yoga, and it was clear to us that you don't have to use all the things, whatever it was. Sometimes it's chocolate, is as simple as this, or absolutely. Sugar, number one drug, or caffeine. But, doesn't really matter what is the substance and how we label the substance. But basically you can be free from this and still have this kind of high state for your body, mind, and spirit.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Free from cost. No hidden effects.
Absolutely. I mean, yes, we're carrying it around already. All these natural hormones that can create that high in our bodies if we let it. And I mean, I don't even mean to say that it's bad to use certain substances, because there's a lot of traditional medicines and stuff, as I'm sure with the work that you do. Like mushrooms and natural like opium comes from poppies, and, like all of this stuff has kind of a natural derivative, right? So, I mean, there's a time and a place for that sort of medicine and to have that kind of experience, but I believe it needs to be guided, right? Like, you need to do that with somebody who kind of can walk you through it in a kind of a safe situation. I've never done it myself yet. It's not something I've been drawn to do yet, and maybe it will come up for me and maybe it won't. My cousin, who also works in this healing environment as well, has been through, I think she had an ayahuasca experience. And she does shamanism. She practices shamanism as well. So she recognizes that, tobacco has a purpose, and sage and all that sort of thing. And so, I mean, even ingestibles and stuff, there's a purpose to them. Should you rely on them? No, that's not the point, right? in a balance, right? It's take them for a certain specific purpose and not because, I mean, even with the CBD, the marijuana for chronic pain, yes, is it going to help? Yes, but it's still altering your mind and your brain and body chemistry. And so is that how you want to live? Well, that's your choice, right? We all have those choices to make. Is it possible to feel great without it? Yes, I believe it is. So, but you have to believe that it's true before it will be true for you. And, that's the bottom line, is that if you don't believe it's going to work, then it's not going to work. So, so why fight somebody who doesn't believe it?
Yes. So true, yeah. So true. Coming back to the self-care and also, coming to end of our meeting today, if someone is interested in your work and would like to learn something about the self-care techniques for the body, where to go, where to find you?
Okay. Well, you can go to my website, which is treattheelite.com. I have a Facebook page as well under Elite Performance, and my online programs are on. You can access them through my website. Obviously, there's the online learning portal through my website. All the programs are hosted through MemberVault right now. The self-care program is called Feel Better Now, and it does pretty much what it says it does. It will help you feel better pretty much as soon as you start doing it. And as long as you keep doing it, all right, you will feel better and better and better. And so, there's that option as well. And that's a 4-month program. So access it through the website, treattheelite.com. And then you can also book a discovery call with me if you're looking for more one-on-one work and that sort of thing. And I'm also I'm started to teach online as well too. So if you want to learn some easy techniques that you can use to help your loved ones, family, or if you're a therapist and you want to start to add some body work to your practice or add different techniques, and if you're a body worker already and you want to do some myofascial release, then I have programs for that as well. So, because people need to know this stuff, they need to know how to do it. They already know, we talked about this before. We know that this is innate information. This is innate knowledge that we all have that we just have lost access to. And so, my job is to remind people and to show them how, and that's what I'm doing now, and I love it because it's amazing and it's been changing people's lives like crazy. It's pretty cool.
Yes, beautiful ending. Thank you so much for coming and sharing your understanding of what does it really mean to evolve through body and thanks to body.
Well, thank you for giving me the opportunity to do it. I love to talk about it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dziękuję Ci za wspólnie spędzony czas. Wejdź na stronę agni-ayurveda.pl/46, gdzie znajdziesz notatki do tego odcinka podcastu. Jeśli prowadzisz holistyczny biznes albo przymierzasz się do stworzenia takiego biznesu, zapraszam Cię do tych programów, w których dzielę się wiedzą ajurwedyjską dla Ciebie i Twojego biznesu. Jestem przekonana, że rozwój osobisty na płaszczyźnie ciała, umysłu i ducha znajduje odzwierciedlenie w rozwoju Twojej firmy. Wejdź na stronę agni-ayurveda.pl/dla biznesu i dowiedz się więcej o naszych ajurwedyjskich programach biznesowych dla Ciebie i Twojej firmy.